Okay. All right. Good afternoon. I'm here today to talk to y'all about the life of JFK. Like I said, I appreciate y'all coming in. It shouldn't take long. Do y'all have any questions before I go ahead and start?
No, I don't have a question. Is he your hero or something?
No, I'm actually doing a little bit of research on this for a speech class. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, give y'all a little brief intel on his life and who he was. JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, was born May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts. He was the second of 9 children. Um, Him and his older brother were very competitive growing up. Although JFK did have a lot of health issues, but that didn't stop him. He was very competitive. He played in a lot of sports. Was also, as growing up in his early, childhood and whatnot, and early years, throughout school, throughout him going to school, attending school, he would, he's a big jokester, but get into trouble a lot, and even one time almost got expelled. Um, but he graduated, and he was also voted the most likely to succeed, I guess because he was very, outspoken and whatnot. So there was really no issues there. As far as JFK, like I said, he had a lot of issues dealing with his health and whatnot, but that didn't stop him. He went ahead and went on. All right, moving right along. We're going to go ahead and talk about JFK, the war hero. In 1941, after multiple attempts and rejected multiple times due to his bad back as well as his health issues, JFK was sworn into the U.S. Navy with the help of his father and grandfather. In 1943, he served a couple of combat missions, which in his own mission was to disrupt the Japanese supply ships that were moving back and forth. In doing so, his ship was attacked, and obviously when your ship is attacked, you go overboard, and he was attempting to rescue his crewman that was drowning, and in doing so, he ended up hurting himself, having lifelong stomach issues because of the fact that he swallows seawater as well as some gasoline. Like I said, he ended up injuring himself. So in 1944, he ended up getting a medal for a Purple Heart as well as gallantry in action, which due to his actions during those combat missions. Shortly in 1945, after his brother's death, his father as well as his grandfather focused their attention on JFK becoming a political figure as well as one day soon president. So we're going to move on to JFK, the politician. In 1946, JFK decides to go ahead and run for U.S. Congress. And in doing so, he wins the election. And also in 1948 and 1950, he's reelected as a congressman. But he didn't stop there. In 1952, he decides to go ahead and move forward and hold a seat in the Senate. So he decides to run for senator, which becomes senator of Massachusetts in 1952 again. And at the same time, he also marries Jacqueline Bouvier, which everyone knows her as Jackie Kennedy. At the same time, he also is writing a book, which he wins a Pulitzer Prize in 1957. So that's that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. And with that, in 1958, he is reelected into the Senate, and obviously he knows he's a shoo-in for the vice presidency, but he wants to set his goal up to a lot higher and become a president. So he decides to do his presidential campaign. Okay, so moving on. We're going to go ahead and talk about John F. Kennedy as president. January 20th, 1961, John Fitzgerald Kennedy becomes the 35th president of the United States. And at the age of 43, he's the youngest and the only Roman Catholic to ever be elected as president.
Along with him as vice president, Lyndon B. Johnson at the age of 51. From there, during his time in office, John F. Kennedy faced a lot of like international conflicts as well as tensions of America and to Americans, and developed a Peace Corps, which they were able to go overseas and to developing countries and help them out. 1963, November 22nd, on his way to Dallas, Texas, downtown Dallas, Texas, to make a speech, he was, obviously assassinated by a couple of gunfires, and he ended up getting shot in the back as well as in the back of the head. The Texas governor is also shot, and they're both taken over to Parkland Memorial Hospital where they are both treated. Unfortunately, around 1 o'clock, John F. Kennedy is pronounced dead. This is a sad loss for Americans at that time. And so that concludes my presentation. I hope my audience, y'all have learned a lot. Do you have any questions at this time?
No, it was a great presentation. We learned a lot.
Okay, thank you. Well, I hope you use the information that you've obtained today in the future and share it with others. Thank you.